President Tinubu, na so you be? If not be Oshiomhole, how we want to hear wetin I dey hear for inside this video? Make una just listen to this trending video now. This trending video of Oshiomhole, where Arise News journalists dey ask am some questions about the insecurity and President Tinubu 2 years in office. But na one particular thing wey this man talk at the ending of this particular video na really shock me. Make una make sure una check this video, because me myself don dey short of words, because e dey hard to defend APC. E too dey hard. Make una hear how this man take dey react to the question first, and I'll come back to that video.
Different.
Great to see you again.
I'm honored to be here.
Would it be fair to describe you as a staunch ally of President Tinubu?
Correct.
In that regard, what can you say that is of considerably beneficial significance to the Nigerian people since President Tinubu came to office 2 years ago?
Well, there are a couple of things. For those of us who believe that, when the economists talk about man being a rational economic animal, it presupposes that there's a level playing field and people work hard to earn. Before President Bola Ahmed assumed office, it was easy for some, very few people, but they took a huge sum by just manipulating on the financial system and turn a huge number to themselves and pauperize the rest of the people. This leads to distortion in consumption, leads to distortions in values, and mislead to younger people who think that what matters in Nigeria is not who you know. Sorry, it's not what you know, but who you know. I think that policy has effectively been eliminated by the president. That's to say, this regime of dual exchange rate. People may underestimate the import of it, but I think it is huge. It is huge. That was the time people, young boys, were bringing Lamborghini with an aircraft, because they didn't have to earn it. And from what we know now, the amount of abuse was huge. Number two, if you have to try to understand the correct exchange rate regime, you have to look at the reckless use of ways and means by the central bank, by the monetary authorities, and the fact that there was no communication between the monetary and the economic sector. It was an open debate where finance minister says, I am not aware of CBA decision on this. And so people were micromanaging their little bits, and of course Nigeria was the worst for it. The second, I think, is even what I heard you say now about security. It's not all or nothing. Whether in academics, in our daily experiences, it is not either that you win all or you lose all. To measure progress is to look at where you were and compared to where you are. It is not my opinion now. I have been present in many places where, for example, people from part of the Northeast admitted to the fact that under Tinubu, the coordination of security is more effective, and places that they couldn't go before, they could go there now. That does not mean that occasionally they will not go for sub-target and attack. You mean the same Northeast where 20,000 people have been made homeless today, and the governor is complaining? It's happened just today.
We're hearing Mate.
But if you remember, if you are going to talk like this, if you have to trace the history, there was once upon a time where this country, part of Maiduguri, people couldn't go there. In Nigeria, president couldn't visit Maiduguri.
Yeah, but the fear is that it's returning to that
again. We this year went to Maiduguri to say no. Maiduguri is part of Nigeria. People couldn't even go to mosque. So that's why I say it is not about whether you have totally solved a problem or the problem is it's gotten worse and worse. What I can say with confidence is that there is improvement. How much improvement there is, how much more we need to do, there's quite much more to do.
Right.
Just yesterday, I watched through Arise Television, it was the day before yesterday, people from Northwest, the governor of Kaduna give a template of what they have accomplished security-wise, such that a place like Gwari, which was no longer touchable, I mean, people couldn't go there, except with heavy armored vehicles, etc. People can now go there without escort. He also referred to the fact that Southern Kaduna, this one I watched from the media, the Southern Kaduna is a lot safer now than it used to be. That is not to suggest that either the president or any Nigerian for that matter, is happy about the current level. It can be better and it has to be better. But the point to make is that let nobody suggest that it is now worse. It is not.
Well, on the basis of that, let me ask you, because we're hearing that Nigeria has just named a new commander, Major General Abdul Salam Abubakar, to take charge and lead the fight against groups like Boko Haram and ISWAP in the northeast. He is the 15th commander to be named since the operation began some 15 years ago. So a 15th commander appointed in a conflict that's been raging for 15 years. That suggests that a commander is changed every year on average. Do you think that's helpful for leadership and proper coordination on the ground? Doesn't that suggest that there is something, I mean, fatally wrong? You have to ask why he's being appointed now.
How you choose to interpret them. The fact that even if the president chooses to change the commander every other day, it shows that his eyes on the job. He will not go to take nonsense for an answer.
Yeah, but
and if I give you an assignment, sure, and you are doing well and I'm not satisfied, I keep changing.
Yeah.
What do you want him to do? Is it a permanent, Nigeria permanent representation?
Yeah, but we're talking about an insurgence.
I don't think, no. You can't use the number of commanders or the frequency or the rate at which commanders are changed as a basis to measure progress or lack of progress.
Well, let me tell you why I said that.
Yeah.
Military analysts have argued that you need to have a commander who can strategize, who can plan, and who can implement. And who can implement that plan for at least 2 years consistently. These are military analysts.
Maybe I should ask you,
how many
commanders has President Tinubu appointed?
Well, let me just make the point. Before you start to see success, but when you're changing them every year, then it becomes difficult to plan and implement, doesn't it?
No. I will ask you the question.
If you're changing senators every year, then you're not going to have consistency of lawmaking.
Democracy requires that we change them every 4 years, or even earlier, if the electorate so decide. It's not up to you and I to determine.
No, I understand.
But
there's a reason why.
No, don't distract me for your question.
Okay, sorry. Please, go ahead.
Answer. How many commanders has President Tinubu changed from Maiduguri? Well, you say from where the war began. Can you remember where the war began? It was during Jonathan, but the problem started during Obasanjo.
Well, the actual war began around 2009. That's when the actual war began.
Yeah, but the crisis of Boko Haram had been there from the time of President Obasanjo.
Well, there was...
So if you are going to measure the number of commanders, I don't really think this one Nigerians, if they want to change commanders every year, once upon a time, President Buhari was being accused of allowing the service chief to overstay. Then I was chairman of APC. And President Buhari keeps saying to us that you don't change a commander in the middle of war. That's his own opinion as a commander. Another commander in chief could decide otherwise. That's why I ask you, the number that have been changed, how many occur under President?
Well, it is...
Because it will not be fair for you to imply, because you are not evaluating Nigeria since 1960. You are evaluating Nigeria since President Tinubu took over 2 years ago. So if you have issues about numbers, you must limit the issues to the number of commanders that have been changed over the past 2 years compared to what it used to be before Tinubu came in. But if you ask me, honestly speaking, I do not think Nigerians bother. Now, those who are advising you about it's better to keep them for a certain number of period, if I ask, maybe they are retired ones. It's typical Nigeria football match.
Maybe there.
The coach is the only one who doesn't know that he should have withdrawn one player. He should have put three.
Well, let me tell you why I'm asking you. Well, let me say.
But the point to be made is this. Right. The point to be made is this. Just a few days back, the president reassure Nigerians that he is going to reinforce funding. He will do everything he can to empower the armed forces to do what they have to do to terminate all this insurgency.
Right. Well,
in whatever way they rear their head. So that suggests to me that no one is much more concerned about finding a lasting, sustainable solution to the problem of insecurity than the president himself.
Well, it's not about concern; it's about actually doing something about it. And let me say this.
But that's what I said.
If you look at,
I didn't say he's talking about it.
Right.
You are the one telling me now that he's changing commanders. Is that not doing something?
If you look at,
he's changing the commander the way you change your master of ceremony.
If you look at open source data, they indicate that attacks are rising, and they suggest.
Who are these people?
And they suggest, that's what I mean by open source data. That means across the board. They suggest that in the first 3 months of this year alone, there have been some 300 Boko Haram attacks in Borno State alone, in which more than 500 people have been killed and almost the same number have been abducted. That suggests that insecurity in the Northeast is getting worse, not better, doesn't it? Speak to the governor who's there. He's coming out, even just earlier in the day, he was coming out to say that more than 20,000 people have been displaced in one part of the Northeast as a result of his state, as a result of these attacks.
With all due respect to you, I think you are recycling this same question in different forms.
Well,
there is no suggestion before you.
Numbers.
Excuse me, with due respect, there is no suggestion to the effect that everywhere is peaceful now. I haven't said so, and I've not had anyone who has said so.
Yeah, but it's the frequency of the attacks.
And if you talk about frequency, you may have to find out from those whose business it is to collate.
Well, that's exactly what we've been doing.
That is not my bit.
Right.
My bit is to listen to people, as a senator, for example, to listen to people. I heard a senator narrating on the floor of the Senate that people from his own constituency in part of the Northeast who have not been able to go to farm are now able to go to farm. That letter was read on the floor of the Senate. I will listen to him, because he's a senator, he's elected by his people.
But you won't listen to the governor who's in charge of the state.
That's up to you. If you choose to, no, I don't agree. With all due respect, you are overflogging it. Well, because you are suggesting, you just want to make a point, which is unnecessary. There is no issue about whether or not we have security challenges. It has been there since President Obasanjo. It got worse during President Jonathan, to a point that national elections were postponed by 2 months. I was a governor that time. It got to a point where Boko Haram hosts foreign flags on Nigeria soil, that 28 local government was no longer under Nigeria control. This problem have been there. In Abuja here, Boko Haram bombed the police headquarters. Police headquarters. In Abuja here, Nangulu, you won't forget that the United Nations building,
very well.
United Nations building,
United Nations building
was attacked in the heart of Abuja.
Well. Yeah.
Are you aware of that?
Absolutely.
So is it not reasonable to say that whereas there is this serious problem of insecurity, but the audacity with which they used to move, it appears the Nigerian armed forces are curtailing them effectively.
Yeah.
That is not to say the problem is over. What we should be doing, what citizens do in other countries, is to salute the effort of the armed forces. You don't dismiss them as if it's a Christmas party.
I think the issue here...
I'm not going to say more on this.
Yeah.
Because I am not here. You call me a senator. You have not called me a retired military officer.
I understand that.
Fine. So
and I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
enough for security.
Yeah.
But all I want to tell you is that
not trying to put
I have been in this Abuja,
where
even the policemen felt unsafe at the police headquarters. That speaks volume, because the headquarters was bombed. United Nations, with all the security around it, it was bombed by Boko Haram. So we must go through the full gamut to try to understand where we're coming from,
I think
when it got to a peak, where we are now. But don't push me to suggest, or do not try to imply that anyone is suggesting that there's conflict between what the governor is saying and what the senator has.
Well,
what the senator said. There is nothing contradicting anything. They both admit that there are problems, but nobody is sleeping on it.
Sure. If I can
the governor is working very hard. He's doing everything to deal with the aftermath of all those attacks, which is very commendable. He's taking risks, going to everywhere. And sometimes you wonder whether he has special armor. He's doing everything. I don't think he's sleeping. I look at his eye bag. I said, this man is not sleeping.
Right. Well, we're going to move on from security. But I think the point that needs to be made is nobody's saying that
all of
things,
us, the point that needs to be made,
let me just make the point,
is that we shouldn't celebrate criminality.
No, hold on.
We should acknowledge, excuse me, we must acknowledge. I watch CNN, I watch international cable. When a nation is under attack by criminals, all hands should be on deck, including the media.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. You're making that our point.
But not to seem to be celebrating
no.
or implies.
Nobody is celebrating.
Do you know that families have lost soldiers?
Nobody
senior military officers, colonel, majors, captains.
Nobody.
Not to talk of other that have been waiting.
Senator,
when they see us talk like
this is a dialogue, not a monologue.
No, I understand. But I
well, you don't understand.
I don't
if you did, you would.
I want us to encourage our armed forces, even as we have huge challenges, and there's a huge gap between where we are and where we want to be.
Senator, you're making a political statement. That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing is assessing whether things have... Nobody said that things have got as bad as they were a few years ago. But the issue here is, do they appear to be getting worse from where they were perhaps a couple of years ago? And that's the issue. We've seen attacks by Boko Haram and ISWAP on military installations, military camps in several locations in Borno and Yobe states, and in each of these attacks they are reported to have overrun the camp, killed some soldiers and captured others. And then they looted the camps, stealing weapons and food. On top of that, we're also seeing things like roadside bombs being planted randomly on major roads, which have blown up commercial vehicles. And recently, 26 people were killed in one such incident. It's not about comparing what it was before or what it is now. It is about what is happening on the ground today. What do you think are the factors responsible for this resurgence? That's how we're going to have to deal with that. But I'm quite happy to move on from there.
I think we are fixated on recycling the same thing, because there is no suggestion between me and you. I have no suggestion to you that it is over. Because there was a time you forgot that even to take a train from here to
and that is very true. I agree.
You know, I saw Kaduna governor say that you cannot come to Kaduna without such escort.
Indeed.
So if all you want to amplify is the one that is recurring, and you are not going to admit to where progress has been made, I don't belong to that school.
No.
That's why I said life is not about whether you have everything going for you 100% or you have zero.
I think the issue...
the issue for me is, are the armed forces sleeping? The answer is no. Can they do much more? The answer is yes. Has security improved? Yes. Can we do much more? We obviously have to do much more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Because I am unable to keep quiet knowing that people have died for this country.
Right.
Whether it's Boko Haram, it's ISWAP, it's bandit, whatever you call it.
Yeah, let's move on.
And it's good that we pay respect to their memory.
Yes, of course we do. And it's because of their memory, that's why we're focusing on this, so that those soldiers don't lose their lives and citizens don't lose their lives. So we can't paper over it and say, oh, this is much better. It's not a political comparison. It's about the fact that people are getting killed. Let me move on from that. The questions many are asking, for example, I mean, we're assessing the 2 years of Tinubu in office. One of the things that have been talked about is his policies, the policies that he has put in place, about how those policies are being implemented, and if the average Nigerian is feeling their impact in a positive way, that, you know, or whether those policies have been hurting them. And in terms of the buying power, for example, of many Nigerians, you talked about the naira and the exchange rate and all the rest of it. If you look at where they were before President Tinubu came to office and where they are now, it's pretty clear that things have got considerably worse, haven't they? Most people are poorer now in terms of their buying power than they were when he came into office. Isn't that true? Maybe you're not poorer, but a lot of other people are poorer.
You don't look poorer either. So you want to...
I like that. Now, there's a great comeback, isn't it?
Great, fine. Now, the point is this. I think it is just a repetition for me now, because once nobody disputes the fact that if inflation is in double digit, an economy is under double-digit inflation consistently, and wages and income are stagnating, or even where they increase, they have no increase proportionate to the rate of inflation. The story is clear. People are hurting. So it's not something that needs to be overflogged. Now the issue is, was there a better way to manage a patient that was under critical condition, you know, that has a cancerous tumor, that you could choose to wish it away because the patients appear to be able to walk until the thing spread to grade 4, in which case it's about when will he die, not whether he will die, or you find the courage to carry out a surgery, knowing fully well that in opening up the patient and try to cut out the tumor, that will require that even in the first instance, you put the patient to sleep. And when he recovers, that he will have to be willed to a rest place to recover. That recovery implies that you will experience some pain. You will continue to apply 2 categories of medication, both pain relief as well as the retreatment.
But that person
but
must have the hope that
as a surgeon, you derive satisfaction from the fact that you are confident that once this tumor is taken out and is cured, that the patient will find his feet and he can return to Olympic Games if he has skill for that in the first instance. But there's no suggestion that when you, except if you belong to those who think that the state of affair by 2023 May, that Nigeria was a paradise, everything was fine.
Well, I mean, it's
Inflation
your
was
party, the APC.
Forget about the party now. You say we shouldn't talk politics. I think sometimes you want to eat your cake and have it. On the one hand, you remind me we are not talking politics, although you have to define what politics is.
No, well, I mean,
on the other hand, when I reply you say that is political. You are the one talking about cost of living, and I'm talking about cost of living.
Yeah.
I'm saying, if we were to play back my interview with you on Arise before that election that brought Tinubu, you were crying loud that the government has failed. The economic policies are completely hopeless. Unemployment, Nigeria has become the capital of the
poverty capital of the world.
The poverty capital of the world. You roll out statistics, whether they are backed up with evidence or not, that's what and so forth. This I watched from Arise TV as well as other sources. That's why I ask you, if you are of the view that this way otherwise very good, it's only Tinubu that has come and messed it up, it's okay. That is not the view of many other people.
Well,
Tinubu came in as a surgeon who had to deal with a patient that was ailing critically. And because we shouldn't talk of politics, we don't need to pursue the argument further. Whatever makes the patient find himself in that condition, that is the condition under which this surgeon came in to carry out what obviously is a painful surgery. And the doctor knows from the beginning that there will be consequences in the short run.
Yeah, but if
I will repeat what I said. Now, I go home, I don't know how often you go home, but I am obliged to go home to my village and to talk to other people. I have lived there, my mother lives there. And I found, like most people like you and I do, during Christmas, you buy some stuff to give to your families. I found that the cost of a bag of rice in December is much lower now than it was 4 months ago in December.
Well, let me get a word in there before we have to end, because I mean, the program obviously, unfortunately, it's great talking with you. But if the price of fuel was at 175 naira in May 2023 per litre.
Leave the argument.
And today we see you're interrupting me. You don't want me to make the point. And today it is at over 1,000 naira. What kind of pain do you think that has inflicted on Nigerians in a country where the average
subscribe to free enterprise
and the economy depend almost entirely on fuel for everything?
Television. You all have lectured me, Oshiomhole, to understand that we are wasting money.
Don't forget you were a Labour leader.
I'm telling you now that you forgot.
You were a Labour leader. Remember that.
You see, you want to eat your cake and have it. You were the one lecturing me as a labor leader.
Do you think your
that
labor
they are
leaders will
wasting
agree
money.
with you
Yeah.
now?
Now
Do you think your current labor leaders will agree with
you?
you?
The elite. You pro-market
You
forces.
say I'm the elite? You're the elite.
No, the pro-market analysts, when we were fighting subsidy, you lectured us that, no. I said, if you withdraw subsidy, this will happen. But you guys said, no, you need to withdraw it. All the candidates, whether it's Tinubu, whether it's Obi, whether it's Atiku, they all said they will withdraw the subsidy.
Yeah, but
In
there
the case of
needed to
Atiku,
be
he even
cushioning
said,
of that removal of subsidy, and it wasn't there.
He even said NNPC. So don't bring that. That's why I said don't go there.
Thank you for watching that video. So guys, before you leave, look at the top here, do well to subscribe and also put on notification bell so that whenever we upload any video in this great platform, you will be the first to see it. And please don't forget to share this video and also spread the video, and also give this video a big thumbs up. The more you share this video, the more other people will still come across this video, and the more you share the video, the more other people will still be updated. And this is where I'm going to end the video, and I will see you guys some other time.